Hi, I'm Chad with Move for Guitar. This lesson is from our series Chords for Beginners. In a previous lesson, I showed you how to play a Cadd9 chord. In this lesson, I'm going to show you another version of an open Cadd9 chord. So in a previous lesson, I showed you how to play this version of the Cadd9 chord. And there's a link in the description if you want to go learn how to play that if you don't know how. In this lesson, I'm going to show you another version, or what's called another voice, another voicing. And all that means, a different voice just means that it has all the same notes. So it's two chords with the exact same name, and all the same notes are in the chord. It's just the notes are in a different order. And all that means for this chord, between these two Cadd9s, the first Cadd9 is this one. In this Cadd9, I'm going to remove my fourth finger from the first string and play through those strings. So the first version or first voicing is this, and this other voicing that I'm showing is this. So basically your fourth finger is going from this note with the first voice to this note with the second voice, which is the one I'm showing you here. And like I said, if you want to learn how to play that first Cadd9 voice, if you haven't taken that lesson yet, you can click the link in the description and learn how to play it. But for this one, my fingering is going to be my second finger on the fifth string, 3rd fret, my first finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and then my third finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And then the 3rd and 1st string are open, which means I'm not fretting them, but I'm just letting those two strings ring out. And I'm blocking the 6th string, so I'm keeping that string from ringing out. And the way I'm doing that is I'm just lightly touching it with my second finger, so I'm just lightly letting this part of my finger come up underneath the string and touch it to keep it from ringing out. Because if you leave that note in this chord, the chord sounds pretty muddy. So if you take it out, it just adds a nice, cleaner sound. And then if you block the 6th string, then you're able to strum through all the strings without having to worry about hitting that 6th string. And with this chord, all your fingers should be up close to the front fret wire in the frets you're in. So my second finger and my 3rd finger should be up close to this front fret wire, and my second finger should be up close to this fret wire. So, because anything you fret on the guitar, you want to be as close to the front fret wire as possible without being on top of it. And the reason you want to do that is because when you're up close to the front fret wire, the note's easier to fret without having to put too much pressure down. It's easy to get a nice clean note without putting too much pressure down. If you're back in the fret, you start getting buzzing, and you're going to have to put a lot more pressure to stop that buzzing. And it's not possible with every single chord to get every single finger close to the front fret wire. But with this chord it is. All 3 fingers can get close to the front fret wires that they're in. And just make sure that you're up on the tips of your fingers, that you have a nice little arch here in your knuckles. This one will be a little bit flatter than the others because you're going to reach up underneath and touch that 6th string to keep it from ringing out. But just make sure that they're not laying back down like this at all. Otherwise you're obviously going to mute out strings, get sounds that you don't want to get. And that's a problem that a lot of beginners have. They bend this knuckle back and it causes a lot of problems, and it's not good form and can actually hurt your hand over time. So it's just better to keep on the tips of your fingers, keep a nice arch here, and you'll be able to play the chords without blocking out any of the other strings. So when you play this chord, if you hear anything like that, just go through, check each string, find which strings aren't ringing out, and just keep adjusting your hands and your fingers until you can get all the strings to ring out clearly. And just make sure that your thumb is straight up and down. It might be a little lower than mine. It just depends on the anatomy of your hand. Make sure it's just not back, along the plane of the neck like this. It needs to be up and down like this, not bent like that. And typically you're going to have a nice little bend in your wrist and some space between your hand and the neck for most part, but you can touch the neck right here with this part of your hand. Just make sure that you're not blocking the 1st string when you do that. But everyone's hands are a little different, so you're just going to have to keep adjusting and figure out what works best for you. So that's an open C Cadd9 chord. If you'd like to get the diagram for this chord, you can click the link on the screen and it'll take you to an eGuide that you can download for free. And in this eGuide, it has this chord, but it also has a whole bunch of other beginner chords that'll be really useful for you to learn. It just gives you a bunch of options for different chords and different versions of chords, and it'll really expand your knowledge and give you tons of options for playing chords and songs. And along with the chords, I give you a bunch of options for chord progressions. So I take the chords that are in the eGuide, put them together into sequences, and create chord progressions out of them so that you can actually hear them in a more musical situation, and you can learn the chord progressions to see what chords sound good together, and also get ideas for different chord progressions that you can create on your own. That way you won't just learn a whole bunch of random chords and then have no idea how to use them. This will show you musical situations that they can be used in and really expand your knowledge and help you as a beginner. So if you'd like to get that eGuide, just click the link on the screen and you can download that for free.